Traditional wealth follows a predictable path: invent a revolutionary product or dominate the markets through legendary investing. With Jeffrey Epstein, that financial logic breaks. In 1974, Epstein was a college dropout with no professional track record in finance. He found a job here, at the Dalton School in New York, teaching physics and math to the city's elite. By the 1990s, this former math teacher had become the owner of one of the largest and most expensive private residences in Manhattan. His rise began with a massive financial anomaly. In the 1980s, Epstein was the architect of a $450 million Ponzi scheme. When the FBI and SEC closed in, Epstein's business partner was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Epstein, despite being the one managing the offshore shell companies, walked away without a single criminal charge. In 1991, another impossible financial event occurred. Les Wexner, the billionaire owner of Victoria's Secret, gave Epstein full power of attorney over his entire personal fortune. This allowed Epstein to withdraw money and make investments without Wexner's permission. Wexner even signed over his personal Boeing 727 private jet. The official transfer documents list the purchase price as exactly $1. These events are statistically impossible for a private financier. They describe an individual being legally shielded from prosecution and bankrolled by a billionaire, the exact operational profile of an intelligence asset being positioned to build a network of influence. By the early 90s, Epstein had the funding and the legal protection, but he was still an outsider to the global elite. He lacked direct access to the presidents, royals, and CEOs he needed to target. That access arrived through Ghislaine Maxwell. She was the daughter of Robert Maxwell, a media mogul and member of parliament who was also a suspected spy for multiple international intelligence agencies. After her father's death and the bankruptcy of his estate, Ghislaine lost her money but kept her social standing. She possessed the high society connections Epstein lacked, while he had the capital she needed to survive. Ghislaine designed a 4-step system to supply victims. Step 1, normalization, building emotional dependence. Step 2, boundary pushing, eroding comfort zones. Step 3, guided participation, coaching victims through physical encounters. Step 4, mind control, brainwashing victims into accepting the abuse as normal. Ghislaine Maxwell was the psychological architect of this operation, weaponizing human vulnerability to keep the supply chain running. Epstein now had the supply. To bring in the demand, the world's most powerful politicians and scientists, he needed a different strategy. He used a strategy of ego stroking, identifying the specific professional needs of his targets. He funded the research of Nobel Prize-winning scientists and provided extreme discretion for politicians who needed to hide their private lives from the public. Once the connection was made, he invited them here, Little St. James. He bought this island in the Virgin Islands to secure total physical isolation and a 90% corporate tax exemption. Epstein implemented total operational security. He fired the island's existing staff and replaced them with a private security team that answered only to him. The island was wired for total surveillance. FBI investigators later discovered the glint of a lens hidden inside smoke detectors, the eyes of decorative dolls, and behind fake painted doors. This is the physical execution of compromat, a term for gathering compromising material to control and blackmail enemies or allies. Epstein turned the island into a specialized intelligence hub, spending millions to capture and store the private reputations of world leaders. The operation collapsed with Epstein's 2019 arrest. He was transferred to the Metropolitan Correctional Center, one of the most heavily fortified federal prisons in the United States. A public trial meant Epstein would testify, likely exposing the global institutions and powerful individuals who had visited his island. On July 23rd, Epstein survived a suspicious incident in his cell and was placed on 24/7 suicide watch. 6 days later, prison officials inexplicably cleared him and removed the watch. On August 9th, his cellmate was suddenly transferred to another unit. Epstein was left entirely alone, which violated standard federal prison protocols. That same night, the 2 guards responsible for checking on Epstein every 30 minutes allegedly fell asleep and spent the night shopping on their phones. At the exact time of Epstein's death, the security cameras pointing directly at his cell door simultaneously malfunctioned. The autopsy performed by Dr. Michael Baden revealed a broken hyoid bone in Epstein's neck. This specific fracture is standard in manual strangulation, but almost never occurs in cases of hanging. The FBI seized over 300 gigabytes of data from the island, yet those files remain unreleased. The system successfully protected the contents of those servers. The prisoner is gone, and the secrets of his clients are safe.